Our top story today is, of course, that the Colorado State Supreme Court issued a ruling that essentially bans President Trump from appearing on any election ballots in the state. Here's what the ruling said. A majority of the court holds that President Trump is disqualified from holding the office of president under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. Because he is disqualified, it would be a wrongful act under the election code for the Colorado Secretary of State to list him as a candidate on the presidential primary ballot. Now, I talked about this very thing months ago because other politicians at the national level have cited the same constitutional basis, albeit a weak one, for disqualifying President Trump for running for office again. So, let's quickly take a look at Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. Listen to the offices listed, or to whom this section applies. It reads the following. No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress, or elector of president and vice president, or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States, or under any state who, having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress, or as an officer of the United States, or as a member of any state legislature, or as an executive or judicial officer of any state to support the Constitution of the United States, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, against the United States, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such disability. There's a few things to take away from this text, but it must first be restated that this was the basis for the Colorado Supreme Court ruling to ban Trump from the ballot. Now, what offices do you see missing from that constitutional text? President and vice president. Go back and read it again. They mention U.S. senators and representatives, electors, civil and military officers, state legislators, meaning state senators and representatives, state-level executives, and state-level judicial officers, meaning like judges and justices, etc. That's it. The Supreme Court of the United States is the only federal justice or branch mentioned in the Constitution. But even they are not mentioned here. But neither are president and vice president. And Section 3 of Amendment 14 was simply creating legal precedent for Congress to remove a person from government or disallow them from government who were attempting to usurp or overthrow or intentionally destroy the United States. That's why it ends with the line, Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 of each house, meaning the House and the Senate, remove such disability. So, number one, Trump is exempt from this because he was president and he's running again for president. Number two, this was intended to be a congressional act, not some random Supreme Court in Colorado. And number three, this section of the 14th Amendment was ratified on July 9th, 1868. Does anybody know what had just taken place before this was ratified? That's right, the Civil War. So this section ensured that individuals who had fulfilled the listed offices there, but then engaged in rebellion against the United States, the Confederacy and the United States, these people would face consequences concerning their eligibility for public office. But again, this was a legal precedent. So the purpose was to dissuade those who might be tempted to betray their oath and participate in armed conflict against the United States. Therefore, if you believe in originality, like determining what was the purpose and intent of the writers of this section of the Constitution, this doesn't apply to President Trump in the least. Any person who considers Trump's actual words and actions leading up to and on January 6th would not consider his actions to be intent on betraying the United States. They wouldn't consider his motives hell-bent on undermining the United States of America. However, you could say the current president is doing so, and yet here's what he had to say in reaction to the ruling.
Mr. President, your reaction to the Colorado ruling on Trump and the ballot?
I'm not going to comment on a court case. That's up to the court. That's all I have to say.
Is he an insurrectionist? Is Trump an insurrectionist, sir?
Well, I think certainly you're self-evident. You saw it all. Now, whether the 14th Amendment applies, I'll let the court make that decision. But he certainly supported an insurrection. And no question about it. None. Zero. And he seems to be doubling down on about everything. Anyway, I've got to go do this.
Well, he's right about one thing. This will surely reach the federal Supreme Court. And if some little guy like me can discern the simple section and the history of the U.S. Constitution, surely they can as well, being experts in all. Now, the real question is, does this even matter? And the answer is, it might matter. Well, while it's true that the GOP is a private organization, and they don't even have to conduct a primary, if other states follow Colorado's example, a federal ruling on the matter will be beneficial. I've also heard rumors that the GOP in Colorado are going to simply ignore the court's ruling on the issue and just put Trump on the ballot anyway. And there, once again, the federal Supreme Court can be very helpful. It also goes without saying that Trump was never charged with insurrection, so he at least has that going for him in all this debate. We just launched a merch store on WeTheFreeShow.com just in time for the holiday season. There are several shirts like the classic We The Free crest tee and others like the Salt and Light shirt, the God Bless America shirt, and a special one just for you, the Freebie shirt. There are even some quality coffee mugs with similar designs, a We The Free logo sticker, and a Smells Like Freedom candle. Yep, you heard that right. So head on over to WeTheFreeShow.com and find yourself a gift for a loved one to make this Christmas season a little freer.